Hello and welcome to the 29th episode of When I Was Your Age, podcast celebrating the careers, callings, and creativity of some friends of mine. I'm your host, Roland Parker, and as always, it is a joy, pleasure, and a treat to have you here. Today's guest is Kelsi Andrews. I'm really excited to chat it up with her about her art and also some things fitness related, CrossFit, that kind of stuff. Before we bring Kelsi into the stream, I do have a little bit of housekeeping as always. Um, Make sure that you follow the Instagram at WIWYA pod if you're not already. And thank you guys so much for the support. We are currently at 1,191 followers, which is much appreciated for all the support that you guys show. If you are listening for the first time, consider giving us a follow. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. If you're more a visual person, you can watch episodes on YouTube as well. So we got you covered there. All links are available in the link tree in the Instagram bio. So you can get to all those places pretty easily. And then that's going to bring us into the show. So we'll bring Kelsi in. Kelsi, what's up with you? How's it going?
How's it going? It's good.
Good. All right. So we've gotten a few episodes recorded kind of in the week leading up to the Super Bowl, and I've been asking people what plans they've got. Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, we'll be headed back from a wedding in Montgomery, so we'll be in the car because one of our friends, we're actually staying in an Airbnb. One of our friends brought the GameCube. He's bringing the GameCube, so we'll probably be there for a while. So we may be catching it mid first half or whatever. But yeah, nice. Just chilling at home. Sundays are hard. I know that it's Super Bowl Sunday, but I'm a teacher, so I have to get up early the next day. So I'm like, oh, I'm excited about Usher though.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely. I keep forgetting that's the piece. It should make for a good Super Bowl because we've got Usher performing, Reba as the national anthem.
That'll be awesome.
All of the Taylor Swift intrigue, I'm sure. Do you have any thoughts on whether or not she is going to make it to the game?
We talk about Taylor Swift so much. Our friends are so mad that she's always on the camera, that she steals the thunder for the games. I think she'll be there. I mean, why would you not be at the Super Bowl? If your boyfriend's playing and you're getting all this hype around both of y'all, you've got to be there. Whatever she's doing, wherever she is, she's got to be there.
Yeah, I didn't think it was really going to happen just logistically if there was any kind of delay with the last show. But now just with how much hype there is, and you mentioned all the airtime and people talking about it.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's going to happen. I feel like people are going to move some mountains to get her there.
And there are going to be so many people who are mad about it, and then so many people who are so excited about it. My husband's one of the ones who's going to be mad about it.
Yeah, I did see an interesting thing, just that the airtime was kind of like under like 2.5 minutes. Like it was much less than I originally would have thought that it was, like, for some of these games. Now it's mentioned all the time. They do allude to song lyrics and stuff like that. So definitely taking over the NFL this season. I think we'll always remember it as the Taylor Swift season.
My mom was even talking about Taylor Swift, and she doesn't talk about Taylor Swift, but we were over at the house the other day, and I was saying that Taylor Swift is like their Michael Jackson because she's so big. And my mom was like, there's no way she is even close to Michael Jackson. I was like, no, she's not close to Michael Jackson, but she is as famous as he was whenever he was really big.
Yeah, I can definitely see that comparison on like a global level too, and just as I don't know, for like dominating like all of the cultural talk now. Like you can't go anywhere. Like we're talking about it on this podcast right now.
Yes, she's everywhere. I mean, whether you like her or not, you know about her. You know all about her.
Yeah, 100%. Inescapable. That's no doubt. No, I think that's a good comparison. Obviously, I think that anybody that grew up with Michael Jackson, they would argue against that.
Oh yeah, because he's the end all be all for them.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny too, is that he was the first one who pioneered the spectacle of the halftime show for the Super Bowl.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You should look up the Michael Jackson Super Bowl halftime performance because they're like in his ear in the headset, like trying to get him to like do the cue to like start the show, and he's like standing there really stoically, and they're doing this bit where they're like, all right, we're gonna start when he like takes his glasses off, like his
Yeah.
sunglasses, and he's like standing really like statuesque, doesn't move, and then he's just like holding the audience captive, and the producer's like, dang it, Michael, go like
Yeah.
pull
It's
the glasses
time.
off. And so we gotta get it going. So it's funny to see how that's evolved, like from the way
Yeah.
that he shaped it.
Oh my
So
gosh. I'm gonna have to look
nice.
that up.
No, it's good. Good full circle moment. I love that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys aren't already, make sure that you follow Kelsi on Instagram on her personal page as well as her art page. There, you can see some of the stuff that we'll be talking about in the episode today. Um, but I do want to get into some get to know you questions. We like to ask everybody these, and I think it's a good marker of what you're about and everything like that. So, where are you from, and where do you currently live?
So I'm from Vestavia, Alabama, where we went to school together. And then I currently live in Bluff Park, right up the
Nice.
road from my parents' house.
Nice. Okay. I also live in Bluff Park, so that
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's too fun. Yeah, I won't reveal like too much like
I
on
was going to say, wait, where are you?
it's
But no, I'm not going to do that
it's a yeah,
online.
absolute we're I mean, um I'm trying to think of a good
You know the main
marker.
road? The main road. We
Yes.
we are right off that main road.
Okay, gotcha. We're like right near like O'Neill and man, I can't think of I'm totally
I think about Mr. P's, Bluff Park Elementary, and then like that church over by Chapel. That's my 3 sections of Bluff Park.
okay. We are very close to those two churches that are like right
Okay.
next to each other. Yeah.
We're very close to each other then.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Good to know. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, and what is it that you do? You could touch on any and all pieces here.
Okay. I wear a lot of hats. I was actually talking to a gym member about this yesterday. So the longest job I've had is working at my parents' CrossFit gym. I am a CrossFit coach for my parents, J19 Fitness. I was gym manager at one point when I was going through school, and I was going through school to get my master's in education so I could be an art teacher. So my career is art teacher, where I teach at Payne Elementary in Trustful. So I have a long haul to work every day from Bluff Park, but it's fine. I love the school that I'm at, and I love the coworkers that I work with. So I coach, I teach, and I also do art on the side. So my little side hustle started this past summer. I came home from school and I was very eager to paint. I don't even know what it was about. I was just like, I really want to start painting. So I did. And then it led to people liking what I was doing, asking me to do watercolors. And then it turned into the textural bouquets. And yeah, so here we are now.
Nice. I love that. Well, I hope that we get to honor all three of those things in talking a little bit more later. But that's great. I love it when people are doing several different things all very passionately. So that's great to hear. How old are you? Kind of central theme of the podcast for us.
I am 26.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. The running joke for the last probably 10 episodes has been everybody kind of when they're doing a little calculation of like how old am I at this
Yeah.
point, they're like look up and to the left, they're like, I'm pretty sure it's that.
Yes.
And
And this year I keep doing, I don't know, even with the kids I'm talking to at school, I'm like, and then this year, I'm like, yes, I will be a year older because you're a year older every year. And so in my mind, I'm like, I don't know why I would be 27 next year. I'll be 27 this year.
yeah.
But in my head, it's just like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's there's something so interesting about like how something as simple as addition can change like the way that
Yeah.
you perceive it when you're
Yes.
thinking about like these weird landmarks in your life, because like most of the birthdays like up until you're 18, you remember like you're tracking it. You're like, I'm
Oh yeah.
6.5. Like you're very
Mhm.
purposeful with how you think about your age. And then like there's a lot of milestones to kind of be looking forward to. If you're 18, you're looking forward to being 21.
Yep.
But then once you get there, then it's like, okay, maybe I can rent a car when I'm 25, but there's not a lot of other milestones to be like looking at
Right.
aside from like being 30. So that I think that's where a lot of people get lost.
Yes, my younger sister, she's 20. So like she's been tracking her birthday. And I can buy cigarettes at 19 now, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then 21's her next year. It's like, oh well, you can buy alcohol legally. And but then I was every time I remind her, like, yeah, after that, you kind of forget which birthday you're on. And nothing
Mhm.
is exciting anymore.
Yeah, it's a the this is something that I think is interesting. I've had this conversation with some friends before. Is like, what age do you kind of think of yourself as internally? Because even though I'm 27, I still kind of think of myself as like 23 and 24. And when I was
Yes.
23 and 24, I still kind of thought of myself as like 19 and 20. And I'm wondering like how far away at the end of my life like will the gap be? Like when I'm 90,
Yeah.
how old will I kind of like internally think of myself as?
Yes. I know. I think of myself usually as 22, and then I realize I'm over the hump of 5, and I'm like, whoa, we're going, I don't know. I think of like in school when you grow up, it's like 5 or less, it's round down, 5 or up, round up. So
Yes.
now we're on the round up side of 20, and it's
Mhm.
it's weird.
Totally get that. It's a strange feeling for sure. Um, what piece of media are you currently enjoying? So think book, podcast, music, TV show. What's kind of been your go-to as of late?
I would definitely say TV. My husband and I, Ryder, we love to sit and watch like a Netflix show together.
Mm,
And we just finished The Walking Dead. I know we're late to the game on finishing that, but we were in it.
nice. I love that. There's something special too about like watching with your partner, like something
Mhm.
through and like being able to debrief and like react with one another.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I watched The Walking Dead. Yeah, I didn't watch it all the way through, but like I remembered sitting down and watching it as a family because I
Mhm.
like someone introduced it to me, I introduced it to my dad, and then we all ended up watching it together. And then like they kind of continued on and I dropped off. So I
Mhm.
have like no idea what's going on with it
It's a
anymore.
it's a hard one to stay hooked into. Ryder was basically just a warm body while watching it because I couldn't watch it without him there.
Mhm.
But he was not present
No.
about season 9 because they kind of do the same thing over and over. It's just like a new clan that they're fighting and they're
Mhm.
always just struggling, but then they pull out of it. But I was so invested, especially into the character Daryl. I loved him so much, so I could not give up.
Yeah, I feel that too. I That's how I feel like that's what I think it would feel like to watch like a Grey's Anatomy for like
Hmm.
19 seasons or something like
Oh
that.
my
Like
gosh, theirs is longer than Walking Dead, I think.
yeah, it's that's what I kind of think of for that. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's good. I can relate to that too with like being a warm body for it's like
Yes.
because like sometimes I'll like get into something and then like it loses its luster for some reason. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I wanna see what happens, but I'm also not I don't have the desire to, like, start up a new episode, if that makes
right.
sense.
It's just in the background at that point.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. I've been there. What's something that you'd consider a luxurious necessity?
Luxurious necessity.
Yeah, and if you need
Does
some
it have
inspiration,
to be luxurious?
it's a as nice, as you like it to be. So I kinda think of it as something that is a little bit extra, like, not quite something that you need.
Yeah,
It improves your life by a measurable amount,
yeah.
um, and but, uh but not necessarily like a must-have.
It's not a
Um
must. Okay. This is so lame, but lemon in my water. I don't
Ooh,
have to have it, but man, does it change the water and man, will it put me in a good mood.
I think that nails the brief,
Right.
yeah,
Here it is right here.
that's no, that's perfect. There's something about it, so in what lemon in water is to me is grapes that are frozen. To There's something about it that feels so like just act like it way over the top of like these
Yeah.
two things together make something that transcends just cold
Yes.
grapes.
Yes.
It
Just
feels
changes the game. You can't even put it into words. And until you experience it or you have that like hankering for water with lemon, then you don't get it. Or
yeah,
frozen grapes.
yeah, love that. No, lemon in the water, totally agree. It changes it up completely. I don't know, just changes the way
So
that you
much
relate
better.
to it. Yeah,
We were at the gym recently. We had like a gym social and we were playing this game and one of the questions was it was a 5-second rule. And one of the questions was, what would you sell your soul for? And it was my turn. And the first thing I said was water with lemon. They're all like, what is wrong with you? And I was like,
yeah.
you just don't get it.
No, it's perfect. I used to when I was working at in like one of the retail stores at Old Smoky, um, they used to grill me a lot because I would put like lemon in water, but I also
Mhm.
had like a little like herb garden out front of our house, and I would just go by and I would stuff like a spearmint like sprig like in like my water bottle too, and
Yeah.
just like brighten it up. I distinctly remember one of my coworkers was like, "So what does that do?" So like asking me about like a detox effect or something like that. I was like, "I don't think it does anything. I just like it." She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Just a little something extra.
Is it?
Hmm.
That's funny. Do you have any bits that you're doing?
Bits. What do you mean by bits?
It's a bit to me is like a running joke or
Oh,
humor that you kind of is
yes.
maybe meant only for yourself or only for some close friends, regardless of the uh, the response from the people around you. You're going to tell the joke every time.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So our friend group is a really close friend group. Or I would compare us to like the Friends friend group from
Sure.
college. And my bits are always like the really annoying jokes that are really not funny, but I think they're so funny because they don't think they're funny.
Hmm.
So right now I'm on a your mama kick. So
Oh,
everything I say
classic.
or they say, they are so mad about it. But I think it's so funny to just continue just your mama.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I keep coming back to with this prompt is like for me a lot of the call and response kind of humor of like that's what she said. That was my
Yes.
nickname in high school. Your mama like yeah, like all of
Your
those
mama
things.
never gets old to me. It's just like if
Yes,
you hit somebody with a your mama at the right time, it is so
it's
funny.
a, and I bet too you're right. I cannot believe that in 2024 someone told me a like they slammed me with a yo mama.
Your mama joke. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it funny. It's like so it's like the anti joke for me.
Yes, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of humor in that, and
Mm.
especially yeah, I love it. That's great. Alright, so for this next question, I really like getting to ask it because we get this kaleidoscope of answers that's all compiled into a playlist that you guys can find, on the link tree. It's called WEWA, as it's like the acronym, and then it's like "Rah!" Like a bald eagle, screeching, basically. I'll make sure that you go follow it. You can hear some of the answers there. But if you could replace the national anthem with any song on your playlist, what would that be? And tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. I was actually listening, like watching your reels today and listening to that question. I was thinking about it. What would my song be for that replace it with the national anthem? Um,
Here's something that
give
kind
me
of
some ideas.
here's something that kind of helps me get into the headspace too is I often go like the funnier kind of route, though I've
Hmm.
definitely heard some good patriotic or like quasi patriotic answers. And what I always kind of think of is like how hard would it make me laugh if I was at a sporting event and like they like come over the speaker and they're like, "All right, please rise like as you are able for our nation's like national anthem and or like our country's national anthem," and just
Yeah.
like one of the first answers was "My Humps" by the Black Eyed Peas. That was Pat's answer, and I'm like, "That's so funny." Like,
That would be so funny.
that's hilarious. But also, I asked one of my college professors one time, and he said, "This Land Is Your Land" by Woody Guthrie. I was like, "Okay,
Oh yeah.
that's actually a really good answer."
Mhm.
So I don't know. You can go either way with it. Does that spark up any
Okay,
thoughts for you?
well, I just thought about Chris Stapleton and like how he sang the national anthem at the Super
Ooh,
Bowl. That was last year, right?
yes, yeah.
Yes. See, if I could hear Chris Stapleton sing the national anthem like that, what it is at all times, I think that would be great.
That's the version. Yeah,
It was a move. I was my mom cried.
mhm. No, I feel that. I think of the Eagles coach was like tearing up when he was
Yes.
singing it too. Just got kind of caught up in the moment. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not a bad version to pick.
No,
Not a
he's
bad
good.
rendition.
He like
He's so good.
he makes you feel it whenever he sings. So
Yeah, no doubt. That's a great answer. Uh, Lily said she would make it so that you could only listen to the version as performed by Fergie in the
yes,
NBA finals. So
yes.
that's also I love the similarities there, two different directions.
Gosh, that
But
was so funny. And I
it's a
think I listened to WDJC and they always play the national anthem. I can't remember at what time it is. It's like in the afternoon. And I swear they were playing Fergie's version one time. And I was like,
really,
are they serious? Like I turned it all the way up. I was like, this can't be Fergie. That can't be serious.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And then last question, we touched on it already, but let's hear it again. Is how do we know each other?
High school.
There you go. Easy
Yes.
answer. And now we're living not very far apart right now. So that's
That's
great.
crazy to me too. I thought y'all lived in Tennessee. Did you not live in Tennessee at one point?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We met in college and lived there after college. But this has been the first full year of us being back in Birmingham.
Okay,
Uh,
cool.
yeah, so we moved not this past Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving before. So we're kind of this is our second year being back.
Yeah. The last time I saw y'all, um, I think y'all only had one child at the time,
Yes.
and it was at Madison Harvey's wedding, or
Mhm.
Madison Tippett now.
Yes.
And yeah, so y'all were in Tennessee at that point.
Mhm. We were not far off from finding out that we would be having another at that point too. So that's so funny. Because I think you even asked like, "Oh, like, do you want any more?" And I was like, "Ah, I don't know. Probably so we'll probably wait a little bit more." And that did not really happen. So we're very pleased and happy with our girls. We love them.
They
Um,
are so cute. I follow Tabitha on Instagram and I watch her stories like she's an Instagram influencer. I'm like, what are Gray and Lola doing
yeah,
today?
that's it. We get that a lot too. There's a lot of people that kind of are keeping up with with the girls like that.
They're so cute.
Gray went viral lately. She just kind of reacted to the moon, and um so it was very funny and very silly, but it's like it's got like 2 million likes on TikTok
Oh my
and
gosh.
like all of these views and stuff. It's a little weird.
That is so funny.
Mhm,
I would have thought it would have been the Ratatouille rat. That was cracking me up with y'all.
mhm.
Was that her second birthday?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so weird how I know this information, but like
It's a
Instagram, social
So
media.
you're keeping up in that way. If you wanna know anything about what the Parkers are doing, you need to follow my wife and not me, because she's got it all together. She's got the daily updates there. You can get a much better understanding of what we're up to if you follow us there. Um, but but yeah, so they were obsessed with Ratatouille for sure. Still, now we've moved to Frozen. That's been the big move for them lately.
All the
Um,
elementary kids love Frozen too.
mm, that's great. It's a good one. All right. So let's get started kind of in your story. We got several hats to touch on. Let's start with artwork first because this was not
Okay.
something that I really knew about you. But how did you get started with paint? I guess we can go as specific as painting, but just like the creative process and everything like that. You mentioned that you were going to school to be an art teacher. So,
Yes.
so tell me about that.
So I went to Birmingham Southern for undergrad, and I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I was undecided, and I've always been a creative person. It would just kind of, it was just I brushed it under the rug. Like I think I took took one art class in high school, and I didn't even take art in middle school. And then I did my student teaching with Larry Gibson, and I was like, I can't believe I didn't have you, and I'm trying to be an art teacher, which is crazy. Um, so yeah, undergrad, and I was interested in design. I thought about interior design, architecture, because I do have a math brain too. So I was an art major, math minor. So I thought that would get me go in the direction of architecture, but really at the end of college, I was so done with art. I didn't want anything to do with it. I really just kind of
Really? Okay.
halfway did my last year, senior year. Like my artwork is embarrassing from senior year because I just didn't care. I was ready to be done with school. And then I went into a job that was like way far away from artwork. It was recruiting. But I worked there for a year. I grew a lot professionally. But I still wanted to be doing something where I was creating. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to school because I love working with kids. And I just have that leadership mentality, and I like to be in charge of the classroom and everything. So that was what I wanted to do. So I went back to school. I still really wasn't creating art besides assignments that were assigned to me in art classes that I took. And I was having fun doing those, but I was not very, like, it wasn't what I was going to choose to do outside of having to do it,
Sure.
which is what it's always been. And graduated. I worked as a teacher at a small school in Gardendale, and still while doing the gym and everything. So, and it is kind of hard to find time to do art whenever you have all the hats that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
So worked at Trustful, and then last year or last summer I came home, and I was actually, my friend Allie Pullen, who went to high school with us,
Yeah.
I was actually having a bad day is what happened. And she came over and brought some art supplies, and I drew or did a flower painting, and she posted it on Instagram for me. Like she tagged me in a story of my painting, and I had like 3 people swipe up and be like, hey, are you selling this? Hey, can you make me one? And I was like, ooh, I'm good at this. Like people like my artwork.
Yeah.
So it started with watercolors, and I was just kind of like, I did a few dogs. I did a watercolor for my mother-in-law, and people were like asking me, they're like, wow, you're so talented. And it made me feel good. So I kept doing it. And then in the summertime, I had all the time in the world to make art. And so that's when I really I painted something every single day. And so it went from watercolors to the textural flowers on canvas. And that's whenever I was like, oh, this is fun. This is easy for me to do because I'm like in the flow and I'm doing it, and it sells. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I did my first ever art show this year at Trinity United Methodist in Homewood. They have an art in the lot. And that was my first art show. My mother-in-law actually encouraged me to do it. She's like, you need to sell these flowers. They are so good. It's going to be great. And Ryder, he encouraged me a lot too. And he actually bought me my first canvases that I sold. I made this. I can't really see it because it's white, but my first textural bouquet is on that one that he bought me. And I did the first art in the lot, and I sold everything. And so that's where I was like, okay, I really want to pursue this. And so that's where we are now. Now I have an Etsy shop, and yeah.
Nice. I love that. Well, I love how you got up to it when you realized like people were connecting with it. There's got to be something really validating about like, hey, are you selling this? And then like you
Yes.
know like you mentioned selling out like um in the event at Trinity. Also, to kind of mention Trinity, that's where I met Ryder too. Is that
Oh yeah. I
uh
forgot about that.
so growing up, Ben Waldsmith and I would kind of go to each other's youth groups a lot,
Yes.
and that was how I got connected with a lot of those guys at Trinity, like all the Homewood folks that went there and everything like
Yes. I
that. So it
remember
was
that.
yeah. So I love that you mentioned that there. It kind of just popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's such a cool thing. So it seems like it happened really fast. Like there was like this one moment, just the bad day. I love
Mm-hmm.
what you said too about like someone came. You mentioned that Allie came
Yeah.
and like just brought you the supplies. Like we're just gonna do this. Like to
Yeah.
she was just being a good friend to you, and then it turned into something that you probably couldn't have seen.
I know. And I didn't think about that actually until I was thinking when you asked me to do the podcast, I was like, he's going to ask me how I got started. And like, I need to like be able to nail that down. And I was like, it's because Allie brought her stuff over. We painted together and my day got better. And then people started, it really started something. So it was
Yeah.
really special too.
That's awesome. Okay. And I feel like I saw somewhere one of the first pieces that you did, maybe it was the first textural piece that was inspired by your wedding bouquet. Is that right?
Yes. And that's what I love to do the most of is the wedding bouquet. Cause I, Ryder and I got married December 17th of 2022, so not too long ago. And my flowers died, so I couldn't press them, but I had tons of pictures of them. And I was like, I really want to be able to create a piece of artwork. And also, we moved to Bluff Park, no artwork on the walls, and everything was bland. I was like, I've got to put something. And Ryder had bought me canvases. So that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to recreate my bouquet with plaster. So and then that's where it started.
I love that. The one reason that this is resonating with me so heavily is that my wife had a very similar experience in
Mm-hmm.
that it was a recreation of her bouquet with the floral pressing and everything. And now she's also on Etsy and having a similar experience, like people talking about it.
She's killing it. I've seen her. I actually referred somebody reached out to me and was like, do you know somebody that does press flowers? And I referred them to her on her Etsy
Nice,
shop.
love
She's
it.
killing it.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to see people who are creating have similar experiences of like because I think that not everybody gets that immediate connection of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm good at this, and it it means something to people. It resonates with people.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love that for you. That's got to be a cool thing. Um, so to tell me that you mentioned in the summer that you were painting something like every day. How frequently are you painting the textural pieces and the watercolors and everything like that right now?
It's hard right now because of school. And so I work in trust school. So I don't get home until 4. And then I leave for the gym at 5 to coach. And so I worked it out with my parents to where I don't have to coach on Wednesday nights or Friday nights. So tonight would be my night that I was painting before this. And then Saturdays and Sundays is when I get to paint. And right now I do have my next shows coming up in or Trinity is doing another art in the lot May the
Nice.
4th. So I'll start doing the textural flowers more. But right now I'm just kind of doing whatever someone asks me to do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So a lot of like commission work. What does that look like? Somebody approaches you, like what are people asking for? Is it a lot of wedding stuff?
Wedding bouquets. Yes. I just finished my favorite bouquet I've done so far. A girl that I graduated with at Birmingham Southern, she had reached out to me and hers was big and super textural and had a lot more contrast with color in it. I
Mm,
have a picture of it on my Instagram. But that was really fun. But yes, wedding bouquets. Also, I did a small full color bouquet. My principal actually just commissioned me to do more. It's not really what I do, but it's my principal, so I wasn't gonna
yeah.
say no. But hers was more of like an anniversary gift for her parents.
Nice. I love
Hmm.
that. That's really cool that it kind of ramped up to that degree so quickly too. It sounds explosive. So tell me how is this intertwined with your other work? Obviously, you're teaching art.
Hmm.
Does that kind of inform the way you teach, or does your teaching kind of change the way that you paint? Or tell me about that.
Yeah, actually, so this is funny. I get inspired by the kids because they paint and they draw. Everything is just so free. Like they don't think about anything. It's just like I want to put a rocket ship on top of a donut planet and that looks awesome. And it's like, yes, put the donut and
That's
the
great.
rocket ship together. And so like I kind of think about them as I'm creating sometimes like just do it. Like it doesn't matter. You
Mhm.
do it, you try it, and then you can crumble it up and throw it away if you don't like it, because that's what they do. And also, I remember one day I was trying to play around with colors and a color scheme, and I was actually stressed about it because I don't really work with color. I usually do just like very white neutrals.
Mhm.
But there was a first grader that came in my room who had on a bright yellow shirt with a bright blue like logo on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love those colors. My next painting is going to be inspired by those colors.
That's I like that. That's great. Well, that's one thing that I really like about folks that are doing wearing the many hats, as we've said before, is that there's a lot of impact, a lot of dotted lines to some of those
Hmm.
things. So yeah, thank you for answering that there.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about teaching, because that's that's got to be a cool way to get to connect with just art in general, is through
Hmm.
through these kids like eyes. But tell me about that. Like, how did you get started? Like, what was your first year like? Stuff like that.
Well, I guess my teaching really was fueled by coaching at the gym. I really loved being able to take an idea that's complicated, like at the gym, snatching, and then break it down really simple to where somebody it clicks with somebody.
Mhm.
So that was what fueled my love for teaching. Teaching in any aspect, not just in the classroom. Um, so that's how I knew I wanted to get into education because I knew I liked doing that. And then I did student teaching, and that was fun. And teaching, I've been teaching only in elementary school. Um, and elementary school is very different than I did Pizzitz Middle School for my like secondary education student
Okay.
teaching. Um, Elementary is it's a lot of hand holding, so it's not as
Sure.
much like teaching art. And there are some things like you can do with fifth grade that are super fun because they can do it in a way that looks really cool. And there are some projects we do with the younger ones too that it turns out great, but it was a lot of step by step.
Hmm.
But on like I would love to be able to in the future go up to a higher level, like middle school, high school. It's actually really cool. So when I was doing my student teaching at Pizzitz, I was with advanced eighth grade art, and it was really hard at first because it was very intimidating because those kids got a lot of hormones going on. It was just like
No doubt.
they were looking at me like, who is this lady and why is she trying to tell me what to do? But after developing relationships with them and getting to know them, I was like, it was so great. But we did this project and it was inspired by Vincent van Gogh. And I feel bad even taking credit for it because they took it and ran with it. And I was basically just like, we're doing Vincent van Gogh. I want you to work with a group, look at a painting, recreate it the way you want to recreate it. And yeah, that's
That's
basically
your
all I said
prompt.
to
Like,
do.
go
Yes.
crazy. Yeah.
Yes. But they ended up doing the most amazing artwork that I've seen. Like it was so good. And one of them actually won first place in an art competition. So it was like, that was amazing.
It started, like, with your idea and, like, the thing that you extended to them, and it turned
Yes.
out to be really cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
That was fun.
It's a yeah, it's a getting it to connect in that way and kinda
Hmm.
generate some of the creative process. It's gotta be such a cool thing. It's one one thing that I really loved about, being a camp counselor was just like asking kids like these like silly questions and like seeing what they
Yes.
what they would come up with, like
Hmm.
when we would before we would start like the first day of everything, I would ask kids like what electrical appliance they would be, and like the things that they would come up with is like I would be a fridge because I'm so chill. Like, they would just and they would just it was, like, so funny to, like, hear, like, what like, why they were saying
Yes.
it, or and, like, some of them would be like, "Uh, I'd be a toaster," and, like, they wouldn't, like, tell you why or anything, and it was all good, but yeah, it's so fun
Kids are
to
so funny, and especially like the little ones. That's why elementary is fun. They're so innocent, and they say the funniest things, especially to silly questions. And that I had last year we were teaching like a cursive writing class, and the kindergartners just played with Legos basically in that class because they're not going to write in cursive.
yeah.
Um, And so we would go around the room and we would just pull up a list of questions and be like, so if you could eat dinner with one person, who would it be? And it's like, my pawpaw.
Yeah. My papa. Yeah, that does not surprise me in the slightest. That's
It's so
hilarious.
funny.
Um, no, that's great. Well, one thing that I like that you mentioned was just um, the passion that kind of got stirred up because of coaching for teaching.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about that. When did that thought connect with you? Like, oh, because I'm coaching, like I feel like an outlet for the way that I'm approaching this could be teaching. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I guess I have to give credit to my dad and my in-laws because both of my in-laws are teachers, and we actually took a trip to Bahama. My father-in-law owns an expedition company, Treeline Expeditions, and so they take people on different backpacking trips. And one of those trips is the Bahamas, and we go sea
Very
kayaking.
cool.
It was yes, it was great. But I remember sitting at dinner one night and they said like being an art teacher would be fun, and like that was coming from somebody who's been teaching for 30 years. And so I was like, ooh. And that was just like a seed that was planted. And I think this is like early whenever I was coaching too, like probably been coaching for 1 year. And then as far as like recognizing my teaching ability and leadership skills, that was my dad. I really didn't like plan on coaching at the gym or teaching or any kind of like up in front of people kind of role. But he saw it in me. And so he was like, hey, I'm signing you up to get your L1 and we're going to go to New Orleans and you're going to get certified to coach classes and you're going to coach classes. And I was like, okay. So it's family owned business. So you just get thrown in there whenever
Yeah,
it's family owned. So, and I had fun with it and people liked coming to my class. And so that kind of is what sparked it too.
nice. I love that. Well, at the time of recording, episode 28 with Wesley is not out yet. But one of the things that we talked about that was so cool is like um, you never know what it means to somebody to like connect with them or encourage them or like set them on the right track. He mentions this cool moment of like he had not really ever considered like pressure washing as something that he would get into to pay for college.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working at his dad's climbing gym, and it's one of the guys that was like that he was belaying. Just he would always ask folks like, hey, like, what do you do for work, like just to kind of get some inspiration and learn and stuff. And this guy was like, oh yeah, like I do pressure washing. I really like it. I make decent money. And like that seed like planted like to him from there. So I love getting to hear that.
And those people might not even recognize what they said,
Yes.
like you don't
Yes.
even know what you just did and like to like put that person in the trajectory that they went in.
Mhm. 100%. Yeah, that
Hmm.
was, like, another really, really big piece of, like, what we were talking about was they might not even know or not even
Hmm.
remember, doing that. Yeah, I love that. Have you gotten to talk to them about that? Like, "Hey, like, here's one of the reasons that I'm doing this now is what you said to me that's a little bit ago." Have you had that conversation?
I've never like explicitly said that to them, which I probably should. But they're kind of my go-to with all things teacher questions, like advice. They've been with me through every step of the way since like student teaching, and writer sister too. They're all teachers, and so they've been my resource. But I do need to tell them that. I need to say you inspired me to take that leap.
I love that. Well, let me know how it goes. I'm excited for that
I will.
conversation to happen. Um, well, tell me about some skills that you got in coaching that you transferred over to teaching, because you mentioned that was, um, how the fire started for teaching. So, like,
Hmm.
what was something that you learned in coaching?
My voice. And my dad, he's a former Marine, so he's really big on like big boom voice. Um, and whenever I first started coaching, I was talking loud, but I wasn't projecting my voice, and that's something that you need to do in teaching too. Thankfully, we have microphones, so we don't have to do it all the time. But like, there is a lot of strength in being able to command a room with your voice, and that is something that coaching has helped me with, and it's helped me in the classroom too. And then also, what's helped me in the classroom that's transferred over into coaching, um, kids can be really annoying and they can be really like they don't problem solve. And so there's a lot of like having to like re-explaining yourself, and that gets old very quick. So
Mhm.
you learn to be super strict and super quick and like just straightforward, no cutting around the bush with the kids. It's just like, go get the paper that's over there, like very direct.
Yeah.
And at the gym, I wasn't really that direct. I was kind of like, I would kind of shy away and then try a really nice way of saying something. But now, since teaching, it's taught me to be super direct. So like, they, I'm kind of the mean coach. And they will say that. My husband will say that. My mom will say that. They, whenever people work out in my classroom, I'm like, it's over here. We're listening over here. Like, we're at the whiteboard. It's time right now, like that kind of thing. So
Love it.
that's from teaching, and then my voice from coaching goes to teaching.
It's a systematic like drill sergeant. They just like
Yes, I
it's
am
a
a drill sergeant,
yeah. It's
but
a
you will have good form.
yes. That's great. No, I love what you said about the kids kind of like needing a lot of like redirecting.
Oh my
It,
gosh,
it's
same
funny
so
to
much.
hear because like originally I asked you about how coaching informed teaching, but to see the teaching kind of flip back and like help you with
Mm-hmm.
how you present yourself and like the way that you approach things.
Yes.
I love getting to see that because like everything is learning. Like you can always find new ways to
Yeah.
approach stuff. That's so cool.
And adults are just big kids. So, and especially in the afternoon, whenever people are coming from work, their brain's fried, so it doesn't work. And so I'm having to do a lot of the same things I do in the classroom in the gym, because these people are just like little aliens, like the little aliens at school.
That's
And
that
I'll tell them that.
that's great. I I love that. I love that too. I always have felt that it's really important to have um just like some kind of transfer of skill from like different areas. Like you never know what is going to help you like grow in like
Mm-hmm.
different things. So to hear that like both things have like made you better at both things,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it just kind of reaffirms like something that I think is really important, and I love to see that.
Yes,
Um,
always learning.
it's a no doubt. Well, I mean, especially important for a teaching mindset too. So, um, what impact have you seen yourself making? I like to ask people this question because you got to take a step back and look at the ways that you're connecting with other people or the kids that you're working with. So what does that look like?
Um, I see it pop up in different small ways. And like, you don't really like internally. I feel like a lot of times people are, you're your biggest critic. So you're not seeing the kind of, or at least I'm not seeing the impact until it like really pops up. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, in my friends and in my relationship with my husband, just like that same kind of, leader mentality that I have in the classroom, in the gym, I kind of carry with me everywhere. And I can tell, with Ryder or with my best friend Allie, like they say things to me, I'm like, oh wow, like you kind of like how you don't know the big impact that you made on somebody until
Mhm.
like they tell you. They'll tell me something, I'm like, I didn't even think about that. I was just
Yeah,
kind of being me. Um, and same thing with the kids, like kids need structure and they need the strict person. Um, and so being and having them love me, even though I'm still the strict teacher, that's how it shows up there. And then at the gym too, you just get more respect from being direct. And yeah.
yeah, definitely. There's one kind of memory that I have. So I was my major in college was I was outdoor studies and tourism, and my other major was child development. And so is you could go two routes with just like the regular certification and then also a like a teacher licensure program. I was not in the teacher licensure, but there's a lot of overlap. And one of the things that we talked about in the child development class that always kind of sticks out was that they like looked at these kids. They basically like gave them a fence on a playground and and then like took it away.
Mhm.
And when they had this enclosed space, like they went up all the way around like um to the enclosed area, like because they were like felt safe to go around all of the different um parts of the playground that were, enclosed, encompassed by the fence. But then
Mhm.
when the fence was taken away, they kind of huddled in the middle and didn't really like venture out very much. And to me, that's always kind of spoken to like how structure is so important. I think it's especially important to kids, but adults need it too. Like adults
Mhm.
are just kids that have a little bit more money.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
so to hear how that has been important for you. Yeah, I love to hear that, and you're seeing that show up in the
Yeah.
people and kids that you get to work with.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. As I was hearing you talking about it, I was like, yeah, structure, like my self being structure is probably what's made of the biggest impact on like the areas of my life.
Yeah. It's a
Mhm.
no, definitely you definitely answered the question. I like the piece too that it shows up in little ways, like and especially
Mhm.
in just it's kind of how you carry yourself and you didn't even really pay attention to
Right.
how it was showing up. Yeah, that's crucial. It's such a cool thing. Um well, what resources do you look to for just the ways that you approach coaching, art, teaching? Is there any that kind of stick out to you when I say that?
Yeah. So as a teacher, we do a lot of professional development, and I love professional development because it just like it helps you grow as a person. It's a resource, like you're saying. And one of the things I use right now that I actually discovered on YouTube is Skillshare. Have you heard of Skillshare?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. So they have, and I have an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and so I've just gotten into Procreate, and they have all these videos for Procreate, and I can do sketches on there. So I really like using Skillshare.
Nice. Yeah, I get that. That's one that I hear a lot for people who are getting into um like you mentioned Procreate, but like some of those spaces that are kind of social media adjacent or like new
Mm-hmm.
technologies, like there's a lot that you can learn in that way. Like I wouldn't know how to do anything. I can't draw worth anything anyway. So like Procreate, I feel like I'd be even worse off. But yeah, like that's such a cool thing. I feel like stuff like Masterclass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jack Townsend mentioned that for some of the techniques that he looks at for for like working in the kitchen and like coming up with new recipes and inspiration
Mm-hmm.
that way. So
It's so interesting because I love school. So I've even thought about going back to school, just not to do anything, but just to learn things. And so I love having a resource like Skillshare to learn things, and also just like following other people on Instagram. I've learned so much just from artists. Like I follow this one artist whose name is actually Kelsi. And she lives in Australia, and but I love her work, and I can get inspiration from what she's doing and like practice it on my own to learn more things. So yeah.
mhm. I get that a lot too with like cooking or like
Hmm.
making cocktails.
Hmm.
I have like a whole like slew of like influencers and creators that they make different cocktails and they kind of have their own kind of stuff. But I'm like, oh dang, I never would have thought of anything like that. Then I'll like
Yeah,
try and like put my own spin on that, and it's such a fun thing. Like we live it.
it
It's a cool
is.
time to be able to do that.
Hmm.
I know. Well, that's kind of all the questions that I've got for you there. What any anything that kind of sticks out to you that you feel like you didn't get to say?
I think we covered. I feel like I had a long-winded way of sharing my story, so I'm sorry if I went too long on
No, no,
the
no. It's a no. It
school to
went
school
great.
to jobs and everything. But yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think that you put it succinctly, so that's great. Well,
Sweet.
one thing that I a little bit goofed on is we have guests ask a question to the next guest and kind of continue a chain on that way. And if Wesley gave me a question last episode, I totally forgot to write it down, so I'm not prepared to do that. What I will do though is give you this question that Kendall asked him. So we'll just ask it twice, and because I think it's a good one. Um,
Okay.
if you could pick a new career, what would it be, and where would you go?
Um, if I could pick a new career, it would be a food critic, but only for baked goods. So like I want to be on
Oh,
Cupcake Wars
yeah.
or like one of those shows that and kids baking championship. If I could be a critic for that show, that would be my dream job.
You want to be like a Chef Duff situation.
Yes, yes, get to
Nice.
eat all the cupcakes.
I like that. I'd love to like be able to pick up on the nuances of like, hey, like this is probably overproved, or like just it's very impressive to me that like they can pick up on like, oh, the reason that this uh isn't as moist as you wanted it to be is
Mhm.
because you didn't.
Yes, and you have
Like
to
they
be able to
can
like write
diagnose.
about those things. Like that's
Yeah.
why I was like, I can't do this because I'm not going to write about this or be able to I don't know, pick it apart. And yeah, there's like a science behind it. It's very complicated, but it's cool.
That's a yeah, I love that. That there's something very, very impressive, like Jedi mind trick kind of stuff. I'm like, how on
Yes.
earth are you
How
like
did you know that?
that's how can you like yeah, it's a just pick up on it all. I'm mostly just like, oh, this cupcake's really nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Um that's great. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This
Yes.
is so much fun.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
glad to do it. Well, guys, that's going to conclude episode 29 of When I Was Your Age. Thank you guys for joining us in this one, and we'll catch you next time.